you're at this nexus of information technology and actual information. Because
Yeah.
you think about education, whether it's undergrad or graduate or, professional school, legal education, which is a very different thing. And we'll talk about how legal education and maybe the use of these AI tools. And when I say AI tools, of course, I'm sort of defaulting to the idea of generative AI, but how those play together is very different. And yes, academia is different because generally the first reaction from any academic organization when seeing the price sheet for the latest and greatest tech is to go, "Hello, we're a
Yeah.
university here." So I also want to talk about that, kind of those unique perspectives, and sort of like if a tech company is thinking, yeah, I really want to do business with these universities. What are the things that they need to understand? Number one is, yeah, we don't have a lot of cash.
And even that's entertaining, right? Because it really depends on the ask. Like universities have a lot of cash, but they have these weird athletic departments, right? That spend and make millions, right? So it's kind of an uneven environment when you look at that. And I think I was surprised when the kind of edge models started commodifying themselves and selling themselves to the public and universities, the price points were just, in my perspective, outrageous. And the main reason is the cost multiplier by user. So if you say it's $20 a seat, that's not bad if you're in a private school of 100 students, right? But if you have 32,000 students, or we're in an educational environment with multiple campuses, it's millions and millions of dollars. And I was actually surprised that we purchased one of those agreements campus wide, and not for the students, just for the faculty, and they'd open it up to staff. But that's the amazing thing, and I think in law school especially, it's a double-edged sword. If you don't run to a technology provider, you might be seen as behind the times. If you do, you might compromise your mission. And I think one of the contrasts that's been in the news, I was in the news a couple months ago, is the difference between Berkeley, their law school has banned AI. That's their policy, and the University of Chicago has licensed it for all students. I think they went with Anthropic, and I think that to some, it's a sign of, how cutting edge Chicago is. To others, it may be the fact that a public university may not have the funds to be able to purchase it for all students, as opposed to a private institution. And so they are trying to find a way to level the playing field to make sure that you don't have an advantage aided by technology, which and I don't know in business how much people write. In academia, we write professionally, and then in administration, it's amazing how much we have to write. But I think that delegating the writing task to AI does speed things up. But it's clearly the times I've used it, it's better than what I would have done in the situation. But it definitely isn't my work. Like it's not. So I'm still one of those strange people that identify like, this was, this memo was generated. When it's passed on from me to other parts, they strike that. So I think after they've approved it, they're comfortable with it being machine generated. But that's the challenge with attorneys, and specifically in legal education that you've identified. So we're paid predominantly to write, right? So a previous guest talked about a lot of its relationships and strategy, and that is. But if a lot of what we have to do is reduce to writing, and to do good writing, the basis is good research and then really some hard thinking, right? So those aren't skills that people are generally born with. There are some people that just come that way. But the vast majority of people that attend law school, the challenge that they have is this repetitive process of, here's an area you've never studied before, try and understand the general principles, and now produce something, like produce a contract or produce a demand for somebody else. And AI has the potential to make you do that a lot faster, but it also has that potential to never allow you to develop that skill to do it if something new comes.